Hello, this is Latonia LeBlue, and today I will be reading The Fears of Self-Proclaimed Rationalist. This is a collection of 5 short stories that I wrote, and they're all about fears I had as a child, and they're all silly. So, without further ado, let's get into it. Normally, not even the Navy SEAL Team 6 could get this information out of me, but a blank page will do strange things to a human psyche. Imagine 7-year-old me getting ready for a bubble bath of queens. When I settled into my throne, imagine my surprise when I saw the anathema of my existence, the long coiled legs of a spider. The corpuscular creature had a disgustingly scraggly body that was transparent in some places and deep black in others. The obvious answer was to run, and I did, and it didn't just stop at getting out of the room. Before my mom swooped me up like the graceful stork she is, I was ready to fly out the front door, never mind Nirvana style. When the investigation started, to her surprise, the spider was still there. To my surprise, the spider was a few jumbled up strands of my hair stuck to the ivory bathroom tiles. At age 12, I would sleep with a small silver kitchen knife under my pillow. Why? Well, in my prepubescence, the fear of arachnids was exchanged in a sense for an intense and unwarranted dread of the dark web. After finding out about these places from YouTube videos, when night fell, I couldn't cease to enter Bagatelle. Specifically, places labeled red rooms. These were live streams on the dark web that employed violence on victims, with the cruelty being user-suggested through Bitcoin payments. The victims looked to be regular people taken off the street. Now, it sounds terrifying when uttered aloud, but it turns out these rooms weren't real. The dark web didn't have the bandwidth to support live stream production. It's ironic because I had been under the pretense that it was scarier than any other monster because of the fact that it was real, and therefore the fear was real. That one previously unknown fact stood in between me and a peace of mind. Before I was born, my mother had acquired a doll that originated from Africa, or at least that's what was written on her wooden doll stand. She wasn't quite porcelain. Her skin was smooth and matte, like a sturdier Barbie made out of hard plastic. Her ball-jointed legs were much too long, and her elongated nails came to a point at the end of her conjoined fingers. She was darker than me. A chocolate opal, her eyes were a brownish yellow, lighter than her skin, which made her look like a cat. Or maybe it was her extremely small pupils that stared nowhere and everywhere at the same time. I told my mom I didn't like it and wanted her to keep it in her room. One day I sat on the couch. I don't quite remember what I was doing, and it didn't matter because out of the corner of my eye I could see her. She was on the second bookshelf just out of my peripheral vision. At this point, she was nothing but a blur, her brightly colored clothing a mixture of blues and yellows and greens. I was frozen. All I knew was that if I moved, she would move. My heart was pounding as I slowly turned my eyes to see her. She was facing me the entire time, looking at me. It had been what felt like hours. Surely I sat there for 15 minutes before finally making a run for it. She never did move, but my mom put her back in her room, and she's been there ever since. Sometimes I wonder if she craves revenge. The Salvatore Adventure Park in Monteverde, Costa Rica is home to a wide array of activities such as canopy tour, treetop walkways, butterfly garden, insect exhibition, hummingbird garden, and reptile and amphibian exhibition, according to TripAdvisor. To me, the first two were the House of Horrors. My Uncle Stevo gave me the choice of zip line or skywalk, both equally terrifying. But when met with two great evils, I chose the one that didn't involve being strapped to a glorified hiking rope. My saving grace was that my uncle decided he wanted to go on the zip line. I was to go on the Canopy Death Bridge by myself. Later, I would meet him in the Hummingbird Gardens once we were done. The subsequent trek forward, hard fought, my stomach spun into a hypnotizing swirl. The butterflies from the canopies had surely transformed into a lozenge-shaped lump in my throat. With the slight sway of the bridges, the grid-shaped floor that looked malleable and see-through, and the feeling of being hundreds of feet in the air, my anxieties had come to a boiling point. I had schlepped myself to bridge number 3 out of 6 before the realization fully cemented itself in my brain that I also had to walk back. The rest of my time was surrounded by some of the most beautiful trees I had ever seen. The tall lush surrounded me, and to its embrace I offered a long, aching stare. The buzzing of fast flying blurbs of ashen gray, emerald greens, and umbellite purple flew quickly by my ears. Through many moments of stillness, one such blurb would land on my finger, a reward for a battle well won. Okay, we've made it to the home stretch. "Return the slab or suffer my curse," said King Ramses. This line was from one of my favorite TV shows, Courage the Cowardly Dog. King Ramses was one of the scariest episodes of the show, but it was still a show for kids. For many years, my cousins would have these birthday parties, and every time they would have a bounce castle. When the sun would go down and the kids were still jumping, if you jumped just right, you could see a figure in the distance. It looked like King Ramses, and all of my cousins thought so. We could only catch a glimpse of the figure for seconds at a time before gravity brought our eye line below the wooden fence that the bounce house leaned on for support. He never moved, but he was always there, every year. Eventually, we all got older and stopped going, but I wonder if whatever it was is still there. Thank you for showing interest in reading this, um, or having me read it to you, whatever format you consumed it in. Thank you for consuming it.